Hi everyone, I'm Anna Snow. Thank you for joining me today on blazeradioonline.com. Today I'm joined by musical artist Noah Floersch.
Hey. Thanks for having me.
Thank you for being here so much. So we can just jump right in. You have a new single which is not out yet, but I think will be out by the time this video is up.
Nice.
It's called Kitchen Talk. Do you want to talk a little bit about that?
Yes. So, Kitchen Talk is a song that I myself and a buddy of mine, William Hinson, put together. I've actually never met William in person either. We're like internet pals. So him and I were introduced by someone who does a lot of like our cover art and like visual art stuff for us. Her name's Jackie Maldonado. She lives in Texas. I've never met her in person either. But she introduced us because she's really great at finding new music and smaller artists. And she said, "Oh, you guys kind of have a similar sound. You should really consider working together." And so I've known William for a while, but just I think it was back in like January, we really decided, okay, let's like plug away and like try to get something together. So he started sending me beats, and I like never write over beats. That's just like not really my style. But I was like, okay, I'll give it a shot. And he sent a few over, and there was one that I just really loved. It's got like these wavy kind of like piano, I don't know, like percussive piano notes, and then it's just a really solid beat underneath, and I like fell in love with it, and like on that same day like wrote the first verse and the chorus and sent it back to him. Was like, "Do you like this? Is this weird? I don't know." Like I wasn't like sure if it was good. And he was like, "No, that's sick. Let's like run with that." And I think within the week we had the entire song written. It was very quick.
Wow, that's so interesting. So, not having met like him in person or like even Jackie, is that something that like because of COVID you've been working with people through the internet, or is that how things were like before for you?
It's definitely something that's like sprung up this year. I don't know if that's just because it's like the natural progression of like a developing artist to like start working with other people, or if it was like also like I don't know, catalyzed by the fact that we're not able to see anyone in person. Because I definitely like William is not the only person I've worked with. There's like Kate Stevenson is like someone who's like really, she's like really blown up on TikTok in the last couple months. She's another kind of smaller artist that I've been working with, um, who I have never met in person. Yeah, so I guess there's a few cases where it's definitely been, I guess, more available, or like more people are doing it, so it's like not as weird to reach out and try and do kind of like a long distance songwriting thing.
So, on the topic of COVID, you're obviously like, a smaller artist and stuff. And so I think a lot of you guys were hit really hard with like not being able to perform and stuff like that. So, how has that like changed things for you?
Yeah, so I'm kind of a unique case in that I was really starting to like catch like a really solid wind right before COVID hit, um, and so some weird things happened. So I was like getting ready to start playing live shows because I finally had like a large enough discography to like validate like a full set, you know? Like before I would like open, or I would play open mics. I hadn't really had like a full show under like my name, Noah Floersch. Like I would play in other bands and stuff like that, and that's different. But I'd never like played as Noah Floersch. And then pandemic. So no live shows, which is fine. But you just kind of have to like pivot and like do other stuff. So like start like spitting a lot more social media game and like making your presence known there, and then also like yeah, like reaching out to other artists and working collaboratively um online. It's definitely like a weird thing, and I can't wait to have like in-person writing sessions again, because those are just like the best. Like I'm a total people person. I love songwriting. That's probably like my favorite part about being an artist, is writing, and kind of like the creative process. Not only just writing, but like formulating music videos and stuff like that. And even music videos have gotten kind of weird with the pandemic. Like everyone's got to wear masks on set unless you're in front of the camera, and your crew can only be like a certain size. So things have definitely like gotten more difficult. Um, but no one said it was going to be easy. So yeah.
So you mentioned that writing is your favorite part. Like, I really love your music, and like, especially "Girl from the Sidewalk." Like, I think the writing on that, like, so what's like your process for writing, or kind of what inspires you to write your music?
Yeah, so I'm definitely someone who is inspired by like the day to day. Even if it is mundane, like I think there's a lot of like beauty that can be like captured in really small moments. Girl from the Sidewalk is a really great example. That's like a 6.5 minute song about like a 15-second interaction, but you can just like romanticize the hell out of it and like let it become a full thing, like a real human experience by like pointing out every single little detail. And so that's what I did with that song. The process, I don't have like one set thing. I think typically I start with ideas, and so those ideas, those inspirations, like I said, come from like day to day. In my phone, I have like, oh, let me check real quick. My notes app is just like disgusting. It's right now I'm rocking with 765 notes total, and like probably the majority of those are just 2 or 3 word phrases that I like heard in conversation or thought about over the course of the day. And then I can like come back to when I'm sitting down and writing and like let those kind of like fuel the purpose of the song. And then typically I sit down and melody and lyrics kind of come at the same time. And then it's just about sitting down at either, the keyboard or guitar and like figuring out what chords match with that melody.
Who are some of your like musical like influences, or who you looked up to like growing up or anything?
Yeah, 100%. So I definitely my parents were big into music. Who isn't? I mean, everyone's big into music, but I was definitely influenced by my parents' music. So Fleetwood Mac was like huge for me growing up. We would go on these really long road trips because that's what you do when you're from Nebraska. You like need to get out. And I have a super big family, so we weren't like flying very often because that's super expensive. So on these super long road trips, we would have these CDs, and it was almost always like my mom's Rumors CD or some like U2 CDs from my dad. And so those were like what I like grew up listening to. I have 3 older brothers, and when they got into high school, when I was still like younger, they started like developing their own music taste and like passing it on to me. Because they would like give me rides places, and they would have their aux going and playing certain things. So like I definitely got into like Vampire Weekend that way. And it got into like Simon and Garfunkel that way, Mumford and Sons like earlier on, and all these different bands. And then I really like found kind of my own kind of like favorites in high school as well. John Bellion's kind of a big one for me. He's just like his production's crazy. I'm someone who's not like super proficient in production. I have a producer and he does all like the cleaning up, but his songwriting is also really, really incredible. And then I don't know, I listen to like a lot of folk, like Gregory Alan Isakov. He's this dude from like Colorado, or I guess he's from South Africa. Doesn't matter, but he's great too. So I have like a massive wealth of like influences that I draw from really no particular genre.
It gives me hope that my younger brother will pick up music from me.
I feel like he probably already has without telling you. He doesn't
Hopefully,
want to give you credit.
makes fun of me. Like, you just listen to all this old hippie music. That's what he says. Oh well. So obviously you love music. What are some of your other like hobbies or interests?
Yeah, so I played a lot of soccer growing up. That was kind of like my, I mean, all the way up until like high school, that was pretty much it, aside from like getting good grades. I didn't play any other sports just because I was like good at soccer, and soccer was like year round because we had, indoor fields and stuff when it got cold out. So that was pretty much my entire life up until high school when I like really, really got into music. And then those still carry through. Like I'm a senior now. We just had like our intramural season for soccer. So like I still play. I'm in like Greek life, Pike, here at UNL. So that's pretty cool. Other than that, I mean, not much. I just like hanging out with people, like having a good time. I really like grilling out and like drinking beers. I'm just kind of like a dad now. You asked me like 3 years ago, I'd have been like, "Oh, I love to party," and like all this different stuff. I'm like over it now. Like I've partied enough. I'm ready to like just hang out with people. But yeah, outside of like soccer and music and like hanging with friends, a pretty boring guy. Pretty boring guy.
I actually didn't know you were still in school. So is it hard for you to balance like the music and the school?
Yeah, it sucks so bad. It's horrible. Especially like now I'm this year it's been particularly difficult. Just because so I'm a senior now. I'm supposed to be graduating in like next Saturday. I think I will. I have like 2 grades left. But it's really stressful because I don't know. I have like a lot of things going on musically. Yes, I have like Kitchen Talk coming out. I have like working on like an album for later on, like in this summer. So with that comes, like your cover photo shoot, you know 3 or 4 music videos that you need to plan, and you're working with like other college I'm working with like a lot of other college students too, so it's working around their schedules and working around my busy schedule, and I'm in like an ensemble for music too. I'm in like the vocal jazz singers here. It keeps me sharp. um and all these different so there's a lot of stuff going on, and it is difficult to balance the educational part. The social aspect is huge. Like I've got a girlfriend, I've got a lot of friends, so it's just like juggling all that, and then like your artistic career. Yeah, it's definitely a lot to juggle. It's super super difficult. I'm someone who sucks at keeping a calendar too. That's just like not how my brain works. um so a lot of times I'll just like be missing assignments and things like that, but you know like it's also fun, and it keeps me busy, so I don't really mind.
All right, so you mentioned that you have, plans for an album maybe. So like what are you looking forward to like in the future with your music?
Yeah. Okay. I don't want to dive too much into the out because I haven't even made like an official announcement, but you can. It's not a big deal. But that's kind of like looking forward. That's the next big milestone. Something I haven't done yet. I've released a lot of singles, and I've released a couple. I think I've released 3 EPs, or like small collections of songs. This is really my first stab at like a full collection or like a full body of work. When you look at like big artists, um, especially like historically, oftentimes before like a single comes up or like their greatest hit, you hear people talk about like the greatest album, and then there's like a lot of pressure in that, especially when it's like your debut album, because you're saying to like the music industry and you're saying to your fans like, okay, this is who I am, like let's lock that in. So there's definitely a lot of weight, especially in that. I'm also like planning to move to Nashville, which is like a big leap for me. I've never lived outside of Nebraska before. So that's kind of like a spooky deal that I'm, you know, freaking out about a little bit. Um, and I'm going to Nashville to chase the music career and like see if it works out. If it does, great, absolutely fantastic. If it doesn't, not as great, but it's okay. Like at least I tried. I feel like if I didn't, then I'd like hate myself for the rest of my life and like really regret not doing it. So
That's so exciting. That's all the questions I have for you today, but people can find you, Noah Flourish, on Spotify, Apple Music,
yeah, all
everywhere.
over the place.
Yeah.
And keep an eye out for Kitchen Talk
Kitchen
coming
Talk.
on. Yeah.
I think it will be out by the time this is up.
Right
But
on. Right on. I'm excited
100%
for people
sure.
to hear it.
Yes.
Cool.
Thank you for being here.
Yeah, absolutely. It was a pleasure. Peace.